All right, we are live. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the second episode of the third season of the Last Things Last podcast. Your host, Kevin Myers, joined by MJ and Justin here. Looking forward to the discussion tonight. Well, in part.
We're
I'm
gonna
not looking
rail
forward.
on you, Kevin.
I'm not.
We're
I've
gonna
got
rail on you.
I've got all the defense I need. But
okay.
yes, we will. We will.
I think defense would have helped you guys.
Yes.
No,
or
I mean,
offense.
no, I'm saying I don't really disagree with many of you here. But yeah, all right, if we're going to do this, let's go ahead and.
Well, how about this? We'll start with the playoff recap and then we'll dive into that. Like playoff recap in general, where the games where we like, I was very shocked that Baltimore beat Tennessee. I'm going to be honest.
I was pretty shocked too, especially how that game started.
Yeah, I was just about to say that game started out. It was like, yep, here's Lamar again.
There's no way he's coming back. And then he's like, you know what? I can do this. And
I still hold that he's not a great passer. He still is just a running back right now.
Why every team? Go ahead. Sorry.
He's a weird, like, every now and then you'll be like, oh, he's actually a good passer. The thing is, though, he doesn't really have a ton of, like, Marquise Brown and Willie Snead are a rough wide receiver combo to have.
Yeah.
But still better than the Eagles. Still better than the Eagles.
Definitely better than John Hightower and Greg Ward, but
don't forget Fulgham.
Oh yeah.
I'm serious. I'm still on the bandwagon that we go to Wawa once a week and go, anyone catch a football here? All right. But anyway, Kev, let's start with the recaps of the other games before we destroy you.
Go for it. Lead the way.
All right.
My computer's being slow.
Okay, well, I mean, we'll start with Tennessee, Baltimore. I really thought as soon as Tennessee went up, that game was done. I think Lamar, I think he proved, he answered a lot of questions. Yes, he can win in the playoffs. That's a good start. But Kev, I'm on the same train as you. I still haven't seen the progression in the passing that I thought was gonna happen. Now, Grant, the offense is designed around him for him to run it and the running game, but if you shut down the middle, he has nowhere to throw it.
Right.
And nobody does that. Nobody does that. I don't understand it.
And Ryan Tannehill, I thought looked great. I thought he had a great game. I thought that
he had to.
I think that he's truly. I mean, I said it last year, and Justin, you kept saying no, he's not that great. But I think he solidified himself as a true starter in the NFL this year, and has really put on some great performances. He's a great game manager. Knows how to get the ball out. Knows how not to turn the ball over. All the things you want in a quarterback right now. So. Kind of unfortunate for them the way they went out, but they started great. Like, I mean, they came out of the gates starting good. But when you hold Derrick Henry to what, like 40 yards, something
40
like that?
Some yards.
Yeah.
And I think
you can't win with that.
I actually had this leading up to the podcast because I knew you were going to say something about Tannehill. His last 3 games of the season where teams made him throw, he threw for 121, a touchdown and 2 picks, 216 and 1 touchdown. And then in the playoffs, 165, a touchdown and a pick. Like, he had a rough last 3 games of the season. When you make Tannehill a thrower, he's not a great player. Against bad teams, he's fine. But I don't think this Titans team is going to win in the playoffs with Tannehill at quarterback, and I don't think they're going to win.
They made it to the AFC Championship game with him at quarterback.
Yeah, but I mean, against
Justin,
teams
he threw for
matter.
third. Why? Why does it do that?
Whoa!
Why does it do that?
All right, let's hear it. What ad are we getting here?
Sound like a Ford ad? Was that a Ford ad?
God. No, it's for a sub pump for your basement. I don't even have a basement. But anyway, no.
Of all ads it could have been, that was probably the safest one.
We didn't hear the dude. No, anyway.
Yeah.
But Justin, he threw for 3,800 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. He had a. Didn't he make the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, he had a great year. I'm not going to say I don't think he's a bad quarterback. I just don't know. I don't know. He just has a weird deal. And last year was very game managing in the playoffs. It was very Alex Smith like, and Henry was running all over people.
But it worked.
This year he did well. Yeah, but I mean, hey MJ, just bring up more ads. Why don't you?
If we weren't on this, I'll open ESPN. No ads will make any noise.
I'm just going to go on YouTube and find one of those videos that when you're on YouTube, it's an hour-long podcast and it's 74 yellow dashes and you're like, how are there this many ads? Like, what are we doing?
Not when you have YouTube Premium.
I would never mind. My thing always with running backs too is you don't pay a running back. You don't, and teams with single running back, they don't win. Derrick Henry had 2,000 yards rushing this year and he didn't win. Like, because eventually
you're killing me. You're absolutely killing me.
I looked that one up. I'm sorry. No, Justin, you're at any team. But dude, what was I reading? Any team that has a top 5 paid, was it running back or quarterback, has not won a Super Bowl. Like while that player is a top 5 paid player.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, Henry, you can put 2,000 yards rushing down on a season. That's awesome. But when you're going to get stuffed in the playoffs, then like what are we doing?
They game plan for him perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to pull up NFL.com and hope they don't have any ads.
The thing is with Henry, he did, I think the game against Baltimore, he ran for like 150 yards in like the regular season. So it's not like they, had the blueprint early on in the season. They really figured it out
Justin,
for that playoff game. So that's pretty cool.
Your old boy Wayne Simmons is trying to get at Kachuk right now. MJ!
How does it happen?
Aren't your headphones plugged in?
You get on the internet every single time and you look stuff up and it never does this. And
I don't know what's going on, man. I
firing off ads. What is happening?
He wants me to buy a Mustang that's the electronic one. I didn't even look at one of those. Why am I getting but the next highlight is the Steelers-Browns game. We'll save that. Next game I want to go through. How awful are the Colts? They were in the red zone 7 times and didn't score.
Can't win that way. I mean, just the amount of times that they got down the field, and it looked so good.
The refs gave them the fumble back, and they still couldn't win.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding me?
That was kind of a mess.
But Josh Allen's a stud, dude. Josh Allen's an absolute stud.
Yes, he is. He's my favorite player to watch in the playoffs. I'm riding the Bills train the rest of the way here.
I took them to start. I'm riding with you too.
Let's go Buffalo, man. My my wife's grandparents are huge Buffalo Bills fans since they live up in that region, and they are going crazy. They're like, finally. I mean, they're not jumping through tables, but like, I mean,
why not?
You're telling me her 70 to 80-year-old grandparents aren't going through tables,
aren't lighting themselves on fire and jump. Speaking of, did anyone see the latest Barstool post of the guy that tried jumping through a table at last week's game? He jumped the wrong way, and his leg hit the table and just compound fracture.
Oh, good.
He's just like, I was like, Bills Mafia, let's go.
Jesus.
Yeah, they are such fun fans. I kind of can't wait to see what happens this weekend with them. I actually think they're gonna stomp on Baltimore, but we'll get into that. But I really think that they're gonna run all over them.
But dude, Kevin, what scares me though, man, is they only won 27-24. I mean, the Colts were a good team, don't get me wrong, but if the Colts don't blow 7-8 trips to the red zone, the Bills don't win that game. Their defense was atrocious.
Maybe the Bills also played pretty well coming from behind, so it could have been a story where it could have been a shootout, and I always trust Josh Allen in a shootout. Although Phillip Rivers, he's one of the last of the gunslingers, and
dude, he looked great. Honestly,
fly. I'm not sure he comes back another season.
I don't think he does either.
I think this is it for him. But you know what? Hall of Fame career, no matter what. So he's just up there in that category with Marino. Great career, no Super Bowls. So
yeah, which is a shame, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Justin, what do you think of the? Do you think the Bills are the real deal?
Yeah, I mean,
circle the wagons.
The only thing that concerns me is that how close they played that game.
Yes,
the Colts lost every had every opportunity and botched it. If you give a good team, like the Colts weren't a great playoff team anyway. If you give a good team that many chances, it's going to be a problem. So that's the only thing that worried me a little bit. I think I was actually less impressed. Not less impressed with Josh Allen, but just the Bills in general. I thought their defense would play a little bit better than they did. I mean, bend don't break is great against the Colts. I'm hoping that they don't bend as much against Baltimore.
Yeah. Who else? All right, the other
who else
games.
you played?
The other games we had no interest in, so but we have to talk about them. How bad are the Seahawks? You can't beat the Rams when they
Dude,
don't have Donald and Goff.
We saw this
Goff
coming.
with
I think
broken
Justin
thumb.
and I Justin and I talked about this so many times. We saw this coming from like mid-season. The Seahawks looked so good. Russell Wilson was MVP caliber, and then not only had the Seahawks tailed off, Russell Wilson hasn't looked good coming down the stretch there. I mean, it was kind of a total just dumpster fire rolling down the stretch here. And I know all about dumpster fires rolling down the stretch of seasons. So I know when I see it. But the Seahawks just, I mean, too many, again, missed opportunities, not enough rhythm on offense, couldn't get anything established. And honestly, I think I love Pete Carroll, but do you try and consider a sort of shakeup in Seattle? I don't know.
I mean, they're already doing that. They got rid of their OC coordinator, who has been a top 5 coordinator for the past decade. So
yeah, but I'm saying leadership from the
past
top.
8 years.
I mean, sometimes guys need a change of pace, and he's been there a while.
Also, Jamal Adams. Jamal Adams was a bust. I'm sorry.
Yeah, very
what they
much.
gave away to get him, he did nothing in that.
At least so far, yeah.
I think the weird thing with them too is regular season they have such good records. Here's the list. Regular season they have such good records, but I was looking at the playoffs. So I was at the playoff game last year that they played. They played against the Eagles, and they won 17-9 against Josh McCown.
With a torn
against Josh
hamstring.
McCown
With a torn
for most of the
hamstring.
game. Exactly. And they were one Josh McCown led Miles Sanders, and he alligator armed it, on the 40-some yard line. That was a touchdown. So that was last year. This year they lose to the Rams in the playoffs with a Goff with no thumb. The year before that, they lost in the wild card to the Cowboys, who are not a great playoff team ever. That's the first Cowboys playoff win in 20-some years. So
the other thing, I don't know if it's a sign of things to come, but DK Metcalf's kind of hissy fit on the sideline, and then they literally try to force him the ball and it gets pick six.
Subsequent interception.
Look at Baker. Baker loses OBJ and goes 8-3 over his last 11 games and throws I think 2 interceptions because he wasn't trying to force it to a star receiver.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and dude, the way Ramsey locked down Metcalf. Well, I mean, he had that one big play. He had the one big play where he burned everyone, but past that, man, he did a really, really good job locking him down.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Seattle's a weird team. I feel like they should be better. Their defense is atrocious, though. They need to figure it out.
Yeah. It was not.
What
good.
else was there? Tampa Bay, Chicago. Ugh.
No, Buccaneers, Washington football team.
Oh yeah. Who is Chicago? Oh, New Orleans.
Yeah, we're not talking about that game.
No,
the Saints beat. We'll say this. We'll say it. The Saints beat the Bears. Everyone expected that to happen. Yeah. It happened.
Football team and Tampa Bay.
That's another game that Tampa Bay won by what? They won by 8, but that was a late touchdown, I think, scored by Washington too.
Yeah, and he just wasn't. It was a weird game altogether. Chase Young had said that he was gonna, wanted Tom Brady. They did a great job of bottling him up. The one player that looked awful was Godwin. I think he dropped 4 or 5 passes where it was just he dropped 2 touchdowns and then 2 other passes across the middle.
Also, if watching AB, if AB can stay on the straight and narrow and get another full season, I still think he's a top 5 receiver.
He is, I think, 5 or 6 touchdowns the last 4 games.
I mean, just his speed and his route running, man. And if you pair that with Brady, I think he'll be a top 5 receiver next year if he plays the whole year. Yeah,
him and Brady together has just been killing it. So
your only question is just keeping him playing football. That's it.
Yeah.
No
you
one
can keep him good off the field. No, I mean in Pittsburgh, no one. I mean when he was balling out, who cared? But when he went off the rails, that's the only issue.
Your production tells how much people are willing to take of your attitude. Once your production goes down.
Now, granted, he's one of the best receivers that's ever played the game. And he was so out of hand, nobody wanted him for a while.
Yeah,
that's how bad he got.
I
Like,
don't know.
holy cow.
I don't know if it's a respect thing with Brady, or Brady just knows how to work with him. They seem to
Brady
do
just
very
likes him. They connect really well together. So it works.
So, all right. The last game of Wild Card Weekend was the Browns at the Steelers. Kevin, we'll stay silent. You want to go?
You know, it's good that we're doing this now, and I'm not just going to be like screaming "A" the whole time here, because I was fired up. It was weird. It was one of those times where I've watched enough Steeler playoff losses to know what it feels like, but you know, this one was so special because it was the Browns and because they hadn't won a playoff game since '94. Last time, 2002, we beat them. Ben's never lost to them at home, and he loses to them at home in the playoffs now. So just there was a lot that went into it, like from a fan perspective of like, oh, great, this loss just sucks. I mean, my wife and I were sitting watching the game, our terrible towels laying on our laps. The entire game, we're just sitting there like this, just staring at the game, not like, even when we scored, not cheering, not yelling when they scored on us. Because leading into this game, man, I said this was going to happen. I said we were going to lose this game. I picked the Steelers because that's just, how can you not pick the Steelers in that situation? But I truly thought the Browns were going to win that football game. I did not expect them to drop as many points as they did on us, especially getting Spillane back for that game, being a little bit healthier on the defensive side. It was just kind of a mess from, I mean, obviously, this is one of those games. It was a true mess from start to finish. That snap, dude. Pouncey, we gave you a bunch of rest, bro. Like, we're sitting there. All right, so we're a little hyped up. We're like, all right, let's go playoff football. Steelers, here we go. First play, soars over Big Ben's head. He's a tall dude. No chance he's getting that ball right into the end zone. And I look at my wife.
Connor stared at the ball like it was
either
like
of
they
them
were
go
like,
for it.
no, I want that.
They pulled the Cam. They pulled the Cam Newton. I'm not getting down.
My wife and I look at each other. We're just like, yep, this is what this is going to be. And it just, I mean, the story wrote itself from there. To give my overall take here, though, boys, just to kind of summarize the last maybe 6 weeks of the season, it's been hard being a Steelers fan, man. It's been hard to watch a team that, I defended them those first 11 wins because, and I still stand by the fact, a win is a win. You win the game, you advance, you get a win in the win column. A win's a win. I don't care if you look bad doing it, you still won the game. Okay. Does that mean that I didn't think we needed to right the ship before the playoffs? Of course not. We needed to fix a lot of issues, but we were still winning football games. When we had those same issues and we're losing football games, different story. You've really got to look at it. So those last 5 weeks of the season was just really, really difficult to watch. And I started vocally saying, Pittsburgh, if they don't figure out how to, one, get their corners to actually play press coverage correctly, not get burnt on open plays, not put a linebacker on a quick slot receiver. Like we had Spillane covering Landry on that one touchdown play. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's just terrible scheme.
And it wasn't even a route. He just literally ran across
he just
the
ran.
field and sprinted.
he just ran. It wasn't even a design. Yeah, you're right. It wasn't even a designed route. He just did it. So, I mean, those things we started to really pick up on the last 5 weeks of like, wow, the Steelers have a lot of holes. And if they're not going to fill this up and they're not going to pick, and figure out what they're doing here, there's a big issue there. And I put that, of course, a lot on the players. I mean, you've got to show up ready to play. I'm not going to blame the COVID stuff. Yeah, that really screwed up a lot of the schedule. No doubt about it. You got to recognize it. But at the end of the day, we had one of the easiest schedules in football. So, you know what? I mean, take it for what you will. It sucked, but you got to show up and play the games. And the last stretch of the season, the Steelers could not show up. They couldn't win football games, and getting in there against the Browns, who were on fire, you can't overlook them. I mean, it was one of those things where it's like, it's an AFC North rivalry. They want to beat us. They want to beat us. I love Juju Smith-Schuster. Why are you fueling the flames though, bro? Why are you fueling the flames? Why are you talking? Why are you out there gabbing after you've been getting crap all year for dancing on logos? You're doing all that, man. I loved him for his enthusiasm, everything he brings to the team. But this year, he's starting to show a little bit more AB on his attitude. And we got rid of that drama in the locker room. We don't need it anymore. So I mean, we'll get into.
I was gonna say, and now it's rubbing
So
on
is Chase
Claypool, where he's saying they're gonna be sitting next to him next week. It's like, what? Bro,
I agree. Claypool
your
shouldn't have
ass.
said what he said, but I'm also, it's one time. I'm not going to put him in the same category.
Yeah, but they have a clip of him from all year trying to instigate stuff with people on the field, and then you guys are getting your doors blown off. He scores a touchdown, spikes the ball, and starts running his mouth to the other team. Are you
kidding me? While I agree, these things have to be, and these all kind of point to, I want to let you guys get in here, but I just want to say this: all of this points to the following things. And I wrote this down, and I'm going to pull up what I wrote because I literally listed while I was watching the game. So I would remember all the things that upset me and that need to change about the Steelers. I literally was like making a freaking list. All right, here we go. My 7 points at the end of the Steelers season here. Number 1, the Browns are no longer little brother. They're the class of the division. Number 2, Ben has been one of my favorite Steelers to watch throughout history. Everybody knows that, but he's got to retire. Time's up. Number 3, I defended this team because they found ways to win this year. But the last 5 weeks, I knew this was the coming reality for week 1 of the playoffs. Number 4, there is no excuse for this coaching staff. Tomlin and Fichtner have to go. Thank God Fichtner has gone since we talked. Maybe others. The window has slammed shut. Time to do a semi-rebuild. Number 6, I've seen us lose in the playoffs, but I've never felt like this while watching a football game. It's like a team with no heart. And number 7, which is my favorite, a comeback will require Al Michaels saying, "Do you believe in miracles?" again. It was just, from start to finish, it was rough to watch. Steelers, you've got to fix the problems. Tomlin, you've overstayed your welcome. I'll get into my reasons on that after I let you guys in here. But
I don't even think you need more reason. I don't think you need more reasons than that 4th down punt. I think that showed you everything about that coaching staff.
Was insanity. Yeah.
You literally have the momentum going back your way, and you punt on 4th and 1.
Like, that's a moment in your season. That's a moment. And he gave the same BS answer he gives all the time when he's boxing the corner with that. Well, I wanted to really rely on our defense who had been putting stops on. You know why they've been putting stops on? They had a little bit more time to rest on the sideline because the offense was doing so well. Like, keep going. I'm sorry.
I'm
ugh.
No,
Justin,
I mean,
go ahead.
When our group chat, when that snap went over Ben's head and they scored on the first play, it exploded. Like, we were all like, "Oh, this is amazing!" And then literally next play, Ben comes on the field, throws an interception, and we're like, "What is going on?" It was to a point where Kareem Hunt scored the second touchdown of the game. I watched them score the third touchdown of the game. Went upstairs for 2 minutes, came downstairs and saw them
another score.
Hunt, and I was like, why are they showing a highlight of 2 scores ago? And I'm like, oh, that's 28.
28 zip.
What is
28 zip? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't see it happening like that. But I think it was a culmination of what we knew all year. I know that, you had said it was the last 6 weeks. And not every week, but there were a lot of weeks during the 11-0 stretch where I'm like, it's luck. They're getting lucky. Like this, a win isn't a win.
Justin,
I don't agree.
A win is a win, but you can get wins while being lucky.
Here you go. Beat Daniel Jones. Barely beat the Broncos. Beat Bill O'Brien. Beat Carson
Broncos
Wentz.
with no Drew Lock.
Yeah, beat Carson Wentz.
Driscoll.
Beat the Browns without Nick Chubb. Bailed by the refs against the Titans. Barely beat the Ravens. Barely beat the Cowboys with their 4th string quarterback. Beat 2-win Bengals. Beat Jake Lockton of the Jaguars. I have to say the Jaguars so you know who Jake Lockton plays for. Barely beat the Ravens practice squad with the 3rd string quarterback. Lost to a team.
I'm not arguing.
I'm not done yet, Kevin. You had your time. Lost to a team with no name. Lost to the first real opponent, the Bills. Lost to Ryan Finley by double digits. Barely beat the Colts, again with the help of the refs. Lost to the Browns. Granted, they sat all their starters. We'll give you that. Lost to a team that didn't practice all week or have a head coach.
COVID. But yeah, I mean, I think there was like the Broncos in week 2. I was like, I mean, they looked, they struggled against
the fact
Driscoll.
that the Ravens game was that close when they literally had 19 people out with COVID. Like, come
Yeah.
on.
I was there were a lot of signs this was going to happen, and I think the weird thing with the Steelers is having such a good seat, like having that 11-0 stretch. I think there was a false sense of security where when they got punched in the mouth towards the end of the season, it was
They
like,
didn't know what to do.
we have to fix stuff. But it's like they couldn't run all season. Their
Right.
defense, Minkah Fitzpatrick, he put together a couple good games, but he was all in all kind of shaky this year. Their defense was shaky all year.
I mean, Grant, I'll give them. They had 2 major injuries on defense.
Yeah, Bush and Dupree going out like
that
took
was
the heart
a
out of that.
big,
For sure.
big loss.
But I think
Yeah.
the bad thing with that, I'm gonna have to run upstairs too. Or actually, no, I'm fine.
For what?
No, my alarm just went off. I have antibiotics I gotta take. But
You're not
I haven't
gonna
missed one
die
yet.
in
I'm trying not to
20
make
minutes.
a super bug. What was I gonna say? Oh, no, but I mean, I think that's the thing too. When your defense goes from elite to almost kind of bad, losing 2 players, like MJ and I know all too well what losing 8 to 12 players on a defense looks like. You know, it's tough when the argument is we're a great team as long as we're 100% healthy, and if you take 2 pieces away, we go from best defense to like
I agree with that, but those weren't
gashed
just 2
by
pieces.
Baker Mayfield.
Those weren't just 2 pieces. Those were like arguably 2 of the best players on that defense.
I mean, you still got to figure it out. Though, like
I agree
feel
that
like
you got to
take
figure it out, but I'm saying
You
it's
still
a
have-
little
You
different.
still have you still have TJ.
you
Watt,
shouldn't go
still
from
have
number 1 to
Fitzpatrick,
number like 29. Yeah.
No, agreed. Absolutely. It shouldn't be a dramatic fall.
My favorite
Yeah,
stat
which
line of the
was
game.
scary.
My favorite stat line of the game. Not one receiver from the Bengals was over 100 yards, and not one rusher was over 100 yards.
Bengals?
Or the Browns. I'm sorry, the Browns. Browns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not one.
They're just spreading it around. Yeah,
And
no,
the
it was a
501
mess.
yards Ben threw for, that's meaningless yards. I'm sorry. They went to a pre
Yeah, it was.
meaningless.
And the thing is, that was
400
the
of those yards happened once they were down 35 to nothing.
28. Yeah, exactly.
Or 28
That's
to
what-
nothing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, 28-0. That was my thing too, because like everyone, I saw a lot of people online after, like, because the Browns were
I
in the
did not.
locker room talking about like literally screaming expletives about Juju dancing to the song that he was dancing to on Logos, like on their lives. Like obviously it fired him up, and people in the comments were like, "Yeah, well, Juju dropped 150 plus yards on him, so like." And it's like Juju had 1 catch for 9 yards until it was 28-0, and then they just started like playing as far off
They played
as
prevent
anyone could ever.
defense.
Yeah,
And
it wasn't a good game
Chase
for Juju.
Claypool. Chase Claypool going, oh, they have no class. Yet Baker walks over to the bench where all 3 of them are sitting there and talks to him after the game. If there was no class, he would have pulled a Tom Brady and just stormed off the field.
And also, no class goes both ways. There's a reason that they did what they did. You know,
Yeah.
there was a lot of talk going before. There
I
was
had
the
no
Browns or the
issue-
Browns. It's like, all right.
Dude,
I had no
Kevin,
issue with the
Kevin,
Browns
another
reacting the way they
another-
did.
Another reason Tomlin needs to go is he like I mean,
Wow, you're finally
again,
on my
before-
side here?
Well, my thing still is I just don't know who you replace him with.
Well, can we get
yeah,
into
I
Tom? Can we get into Tomlin for a little bit
But
here?
the fact that
Yeah,
I'll
let-
talk to Juju
Let's do
about
Tomlin
the
and then
dancing.
Peterson because
No,
it's the perfect.
No, I was.
Yeah.
I was. I'll talk. He goes. I'll talk to Juju about the dancing. He was literally dancing during the game while you guys were getting railroaded.
MJ, what happened with
Yeah, what was the
Antonio Brown?
score?
They kept
It was
giving him
cute till
every
it
inch.
wasn't.
Same
It was
stuff.
And
You
Juju
keep
Juju has
giving
nowhere
them.
near the level of talent of Antonio Brown.
No, he's very talented, and I really still very much believe that. I'm not going to say he's a number 1, but I do believe that guy is very talented and could be a great receiver in this league.
Whoa. For the past
don't-
year, every time Justin and I would go, he's
I
not
have
a number
never-
1. He's
Ever been overly fighting you on that? I will say early on, I'd say you're full of it, but after a while, no,
it's
I agree.
recorded. That's the best part. It's
I
on
agree.
recording.
I agree. No,
We would
he's
always say
not.
Justin would
But
make
also,
a snide
the
comment
Steelers'
going,
offense
"Juju's not a
all
number
year-
1," and you'd
The
go,
Steelers' offense all year didn't highlight a number 1. So again, doesn't really add up here. But my point is with Tomlin, because we're going to talk about these 2 Pennsylvania coaches. Tomlin absolutely has to go. He's not gonna. We're way too loyal in Pittsburgh to a fault.
Yeah, they'll extend him.
I think so too. I mean, he's not going anywhere. But let's look at the facts here. The man is now 8-8 in the postseason. Why do we keep saying he's one of the greatest playoff coaches? He's not.
Mhm.
He's just not.
He's a really good regular season coach.
He's got a tremendous regular season record. But what does that matter when you're getting beat by Jacksonville, Cleveland, other teams in the playoffs? Since 2011, the Bill O'Brien Houston Texans have more playoff wins than the Pittsburgh Steelers do. Mike Tomlin, I've said this from the beginning, won his only Super Bowl with Bill Cowher's squad. Did not win with a team that he crafted on his own. Teams that he did help craft, which included one of the most incredible offenses we have ever seen with Roethlisberger, Bell, and Brown, couldn't do squat with it. Figured out, okay, we need to at least bolster our defense, which means we're going to have to, redo some things on offense. The thing with Le'Veon Bell blows over AB. So now we have a great defense and a solid offense with young receivers. You still can't do anything with it. There comes a time where you have to be able to take responsibility for the fact that the good products that you should have on the field, you're not putting out there. These are losses that are inexcusable. You can't get a 40 spot put on you by the Jacksonville Jaguars and then also the Cleveland Browns. You can't lose playoff games and give all these fans that have followed this team, that want that 7th Lombardi, that love the rich history of winning in Pittsburgh, and you're giving them nothing to be excited about because you have good regular seasons, you get the fan base a little bit excited, and then you break their hearts in the playoffs. It's got to stop. And I mean, Fichtner going, that's huge. I mean, and honestly, I think with Fichtner going, that's going to prompt Big Ben to retire because I know they were close. But like Fichtner had to go. It became a point where the only time we were making good decisions is when Ben was like, 2-minute offense, I've got it. And they would go down the field. Heck, I'd like Ben to just be our offensive coordinator. It's one of those, like, you've got to be able to have the right guys and the right staff. And MJ, we just talked about it. Tomlin, I've said it for at least 6 or 7 seasons now, does not discipline his players. He does not get the right amount out of them. He lets them get away with too much. It's way too friendly of a locker room in that regard.
It's the whole concept of your dad shouldn't be your friend. Your dad should be your dad.
Your dad should be your dad.
Shouldn't be your friend. Your coach should be your coach.
Absolutely. And he has not been that for these guys. And, it's starting to really show like that. I mean, what you think about the great Steelers teams, you think about hard hitting defense, run that ball, Jerome Bettis, Willie Parker, Rashard Mendenhall, guys that were really running hard with great defenses. Where did that go? You just took away their identity. You're not a tough team anymore. You're not representative of a blue collar city anymore.
They couldn't
get completely different.
3rd and 4th and 1, they can't get a yard.
You couldn't get anything. Couldn't get anything. Dude, the goal line stops this year. Oh,
they're more likely to get.
I mean, this stat
4th and 1 on the 5 wide.
This stat should tell you everything you know. Since 2017, Blake Bortles has more playoff wins than Ben Roethlisberger and Russell Wilson combined.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I believe that has a lot to do with coaching.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Tomlin, and we'll get to it with Peterson too. There's times where is it just a coach that's doing bad, right? So like if Gase has a 2-14 year, it's pretty easy just to fire the coach. If you have a really bad year, obviously. But then there's the other firing of, is the dude losing the locker room? And in Tomlin's case, I think all the players probably like him. So I don't think he's losing them in that way.
Why would you not like a guy that lets you get away with everything?
So I think Peterson lost the locker room with some ends of things. But I think Tomlin lost the locker room in the sense that he just lost control. And he continues to lose control with Bell, with Antonio Brown, couldn't control that situation. With Juju now, not that I think Juju's out of control. I say a lot of things about Juju just because it's fun, but I think that ultimately the dude is just a fun-loving guy. I don't think it's really meant to be as bad as it is, but I think just optics-wise, the first time that it comes out where you start to get smacked around after he dances on a logo, be like, hey, dude, no more dancing on logos.
No more of that.
Dance on them after
no more.
Dance on it after a game. I don't care.
It's so different. It's like when people used to give Terrell Owens a bunch of crap for doing these antics and stuff. I was always like, he balls out after he does it. He's allowed.
And he was one of the most fun players to watch because he was good.
Oh, dude, he's in debate for who's it's him and Randy Moss. Who's better?
And Jerry Rice. Yeah.
Well, Jerry Rice is at one by himself. I'm saying these two are fighting for second.
But my point is, when Terrell Owens would go and spike the ball on center logos and things like that, absolutely fine, because he'd go out and ball out. If Juju's going out and dancing on the logos, hyping our team up, being like, they're nothing, doesn't matter, and then we go out and ball out like they're nothing, awesome. You're just hyping our team up.
If he's Devontae Adams and putting up 18 touchdowns a year, then good.
You can't go dance every week. Sure. All right. You can't go dance every week and then all of a sudden come back and expect, it's all going to work out for me in the end.
No.
I mean, it just...
Yeah, I think that's the biggest issue. And the thing is, I understand the whole, like, who do you get after him? And I'm normally on that train of, like, don't fire the coach because
just change the culture, man.
Exactly. That's my thought. And that's why when we get into the Peterson deal, that's why I'm not super picky about who the next guy is, because I think that even if you mess up with the next guy, you don't have to hire him for 10 years, give him a 2-3 year contract and figure it out. Like,
and I know that, like,
or just fire him after a couple of years.
Right. And I mean, when it comes to, but see, and I think the difference between the Steelers and a lot of franchises are Tomlin's our third coach since Chuck Noll. So, like, the Steelers will get a guy and trust this guy. And I think what helped Tomlin's case is he did win that Super Bowl early, which bought him like 6 more seasons, had great regular seasons, bought him some more time, so it was like, but with the Eagles, you absolutely can go the route of, okay, we're going to take a chance on this guy. If it doesn't pan out, you get 2 seasons, 2-3 seasons.
Right.
If it doesn't work, we get someone else in there. The only thing I'm going to disagree with you on, Justin, is your Adam Gase take. I think you don't need to be picky. I
don't even love
coaches.
My Adam Gase take.
Yeah, you don't need to be picky with coaches. I agree with you on that, but Adam Gase, I think, is just avoid. I
think my thing with that is just try anything at this point, because the thing that I actually liked about the Peterson firing was
aside from everything,
because I hate Doug Peterson, but the thing that I liked the most about it though was I see this going the same way that Pittsburgh could have gone. Like the fact that he won the Super Bowl in year 2, we could have very well been in 8-8 or 7-9, where like you're comfortable. NFC 7-9 might get you in every year. Like
as division champs,
9-7, there's a good chance you're getting it every year. So like we could have looked at that and said, well, we're not completely terrible, and he hasn't. On to argue for him, he hasn't had a healthy roster in 3.5 years. Like he had a healthy roster 1 year, but
right. But I mean, and I think
at it like the Tomlin deal, where it's like, all right, how much are we really gonna?
Well, and I think the argument against the whole, I mean, I agree. Like you guys have been so decimated with injuries, but I think what screwed Peterson was the mistakes made were so blatantly obvious on him. Like they were so much, you knew that was a Doug Peterson thing. Like, oh, that was Doug. Doug called that up. Or why'd we go for it on 4th and 18?
Yeah. And like, the thing is, I don't necessarily like, I think that a good chunk of it probably had to do with Carson for sure.
Right.
I think that it'll be more telling who we hire next here, because I don't know that article that came out that Lori called Carson an asset and, Jalen Hurts like a star or a skill or something like that, basically saying like Carson's on the trade block and Jalen's our guy.
What is going on in Philadelphia?
But like my thought is with that though, I think when you look at Doug Peterson going into that, dude's 36-28 in 5 seasons. It's not great. It's not like if he's leading us to 13-3 seasons every year, awesome. But he's 9-7, 9-7, 7-9, 4-11-1. He had 1 good season his entire career, like a 13-3.
Yeah, but see,
otherwise he was.
If Carson Wentz does not have an MVP caliber season next year, the Philly fans are going to eat him alive.
Well, the thing is,
They're already eating him alive.
I still don't think that he.
Dude, they don't deal well with crybabies.
No,
like,
I still don't know that
he's been crying since 2017. That's the other thing. He's been causing division in that locker room since 2017.
And the thing
in
is,
a weird way, like quietly, it's very weird. It's very weird.
No,
I don't know
it's
that
quiet
he has
to the
though.
public. It's not.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. That's why it's weird.
It's loud in the locker room. He has. Like you've played so awful all year, and then you demand a trade the second you get benched. demand a trade. I think we made the wrong move.
Wait, what?
The thing is, I think they do both still. I still don't think Carson's on the roster next year.
I think he is.
Dude, he absolutely is. He had to give that.
I think Jeffrey Lurie said that.
He had to give that press conference to save face because he knew he didn't have everything he needed to fire Doug Peterson. He didn't. The guys made the playoffs the last 3 years, won our only Super Bowl, and his career record's 42-37, and he's 6-4 in the playoffs. Or 4-2 in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's not great though. Like
in 5 years, yes, it is.
42-37. Ooh, nice.
With a decimated roster, and he made the playoffs 2 of those 3 years.
With decimated rosters for sure, but I think a lot of I think you can put a lot on him too. Like there were probably 6 or 7 times every game this season, and we watched most of them together and we're group chatting with everyone on our group chat here. There were at least 6 or 7 times a game where we're like, that's a Doug play. You know, like, and
yeah, that's what I mean. It was obvious.
And you can say the same thing about Carson, because there were 6 to 12 times a game where we were like, what the hell, Carson? But like, so I'm not going to say that, but I don't think it's one or the other. Like, I think they got rid of Peterson. If they picked Wentz gets one more year. If he doesn't put up a good season, he's gone. Like, whatever.
I'll tell you this. If Frank Reich gets a hold of Carson Wentz, look out for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah. I don't think Doug was good enough that it warrants something where it's like, I don't think it was I don't think you could have gone wrong either way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you pick one. I don't think Doug is so amazing because if he was so amazing, Jalen Hurts was also 7 for 20 in that. Like Jalen Hurts was also 1 and 4.
You can't use that argument. You can't use that argument. Jalen Hurts was the literal backup the entire season. Then you throw him in against the Saints, and he gets barely any practice, any first-team reps with a decimated roster.
But I'm not saying
you cannot hold that. You can't hold those games against him. You can't. Until you
5 games?
Until you get.
I mean, you can hold some individual things that you did against him.
With a decimated roster, give him the same
tools
that Carson Wentz has.
But I'm saying he also.
But he played with the same tools Carson Wentz had. That's the thing.
Carson Wentz had more of a roster for the first half of the year.
But my point is also Jalen Hurts was also missing throws. That's not on receivers. Jalen Hurts was also making poor decisions. That's not on receivers. That's on Jalen Hurts.
And he's a rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger was a rookie. No, was Eli Manning.
No, I mean, he is. Rivers. Yeah, I think. But the thing is, you're naming like Hall of Fame
first-round picks.
Yeah,
those were all first-round picks.
So wasn't Hurts?
No, Hurts was a second with like a 5th-round grade.
Right.
But no, I think I'm not saying that like Doug should have made Hurts into a monster, but I think what ended up happening was it was a weird combo of. We also saw Doug start calling play. I don't think Doug liked Carson that much. I'm going to be honest. I don't think he did either. I think everyone always said Alshon Jeffrey was the leak in the locker room that kept saying that Carson was like,
it's probably Doug
person. I think it was Doug. just the head coach was leaking it. But, no, I mean, I just think, I don't know. I think the whole Doug thing was toxic. I don't think that I think he's a good figurehead. I don't think that he's a good play caller. I don't know that they should have fired him, but they should have stripped him of his play calling duties 100% and hired an offensive coordinator at least. And I don't think Doug would be good with having an offensive coordinator. I think he wanted to call his own plays.
I think it should be mandated that teams have to have a head coach, an OC, and a DC. Like, do you know how difficult it is, even for some of the best guys out there, how hard it is to be able to coach and run an offense, but also like focus on the entirety of the team? Also, big thing, and it ties into what you just said there, Justin. I read an article the other day that said the last like 5 or 6 games of the season and the playoff game, Tomlin was calling most of the defensive schemes.
Mm-hmm. For like no reason. Yeah. And the thing is that's
Keith Butler's like, what?
Yeah. And that was the big thing with Doug. It came out like in that one article with Jeffrey Lurie, his meeting with him. Doug's plan was for offensive coordinator was to promote the quarterback's coach, Press Taylor, to offensive coordinator. And Jeffrey Lurie's like, what are we doing? Like, why are we? Yeah. And I think when you start to get to that weird Pittsburgh, like hire from within, like you're a Pittsburgh guy, you're an Eagles like guy. Like I don't want Deuce Staley. I don't want Press Taylor. I don't want an Eagles guy. I want a freaking outside person to come in and coach the team. You're like, we need a fresh perspective. We need someone that's going to run with Miles Sanders more than 7 times a game. Like we need people that are going to utilize the 3 players that are healthy on our roster to the best of their ability.
You know, it's really kind of fascinating in the sense of Pennsylvania football right now, where it's like, I would agree with that for the Eagles. For the Steelers, they need to reestablish their culture. The Eagles need to establish a culture. I think you guys need a change.
I don't think there's really like Eagles football. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's what I mean. But like the Steelers have had a brand of success on one kind of football. So like, I wouldn't necessarily mind bringing back a Mike Vrabel, who was part of us during, the Blitzburg era, and, or having Big Ben, if he retires, part of the coaches, like that stuff, I think definitely goes from a team to team basis. But for the Eagles, absolutely get somebody in there that's going to just establish something.
Yeah. Because if we want to take it back to what made us successful in 2017, then what we need to do is have our quarterback have an MVP season, then get injured, then have our backup come in and have a Cinderella story run with a bunch of ragtag group of players, and then just get hot and win a Super Bowl. Like that's our formula for success right now. We don't have another formula.
It's a fun story, but it's not going to last you more than a season.
We need to
Not a Cinderella story. He almost did it the very next year.
Yeah,
Alshon Jeffrey drops a pass.
Jeffrey could catch a pass.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not a Cinderella story.
Yeah, and then Alshon probably blamed it on Carson Wentz and leaked it.
Carson Wentz was not the right quarterback for that system. And then when we paid him, like I said, we overpaid him. We're like, it wasn't that big of a deal. It was a massive deal because now we can't get rid of him.
Can you do that Justin impression again?
It wasn't that big of a deal. He literally said that over and over. We didn't give him that much money. Okay. We gave him $107 million guaranteed. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, if he's here next year and we have a new head coach, I'm definitely very interested to see how it goes.
So, Justin, if he's terrible next year,
I will 100% admit it was a terrible contract. It wasn't all Doug Peterson's fault, and Carson's a head coach.
On recording.
We're screwed. We don't have anything anymore.
Right. So, exactly.
And this culture you guys keep talking about, the Eagles trying to establish, and Jeff Lurie's looking for this culture. We've never had a winning culture.
That's what I mean. You guys have not established one ever.
So, but for Jeffrey Lurie to sit there and go, that's not what we need for a winning culture. The man doesn't know what a winning culture is.
He doesn't know what a winning culture is.
The thing is, though,
he doesn't get to speak towards that.
The thing is, though, I don't know if Doug Peterson knew what it was either, because if he did, we would have ran with Miles Sanders. If he did, we would have.
Peterson absolutely didn't.
And the thing is, I don't think Howie Roseman does, because if he did, we would have drafted a linebacker at any point in the entire past 4 years. If he did, then we would have not drafted JJ Arcega-Whiteside. I'm still on the Reagor wagon, but probably not Jalen Reagor either. Probably not Jalen Hurts at the second pick of.
You have to be on the Jalen Reagor for another season because of how much you were on the Reagor wagon in the first place. You have to, even if you don't like him anymore.
The one thing I'll say about Jalen Hurts, though, the Jalen hookup, the last 5 games of the season, Jalen Reagor was our best receiver by far, and he looked good with Jalen Hurts. So I don't know.
Until he dropped the only ball that mattered in the Washington game, but that's all right.
Putting lipstick on a pig, really.
Yeah. And then when he gets cracked one time next year, that'll be the end of that.
Hey, you watch it.
It's going to happen. He's Deshaun 2.0.
Well, boys, we could stay on this for the whole night, but we're
also one more thing. Doug Peterson.
Yeah, it's going to be a 7-hour cast.
Doug Peterson makes the playoffs 2017, 2018, 2019. Before we hired Doug Peterson, we didn't make the playoffs. The last time we made it was 2013.
But what was
sounds right.
What was our record though? The past we were like 9-7, right? Like 9-7, 9-7. We were making playoffs.
What was the Super Bowl?
We almost made the NFC Championship the year after we won the Super Bowl. Again, a drop pass screws us. And then riddled with injuries again, Josh McCown with a torn hamstring almost beat Seattle at home.
But how did we get to the playoffs? 5-1 last 6 games of the season. Carson Wentz was near MVP level again at the last 6 games of the season, and then gets speared in the head by Jadeveon Clowney.
Stop that.
He was 28-7. He was pretty good. Not MVP level, but he was decent.
He
was decent. After I just said that,
his career stats are not better than Jared Goff's. It's on paper
MJ,
they're not better than Jared
MJ,
Goff.
his 4,000 with 28 and 7 touchdowns was MVP status, but Ryan Tannehill this year with 3,833 and 7 was trash to me. So like that shows you how biased I am. I just
All
realized
right,
the irony.
let's talk about Alabama. They won.
Well, hold
Yeah,
on.
we'll
Let's quickly do our picks here for this weekend.
Yeah, let's
we
just
have
stay
them.
in NFL
Kevin,
quick.
can someone else open up the games? I am.
I got
definitely
them already.
opening
I got them
another
already.
tab
For these games.
because we're
All
going to
right.
hear another ad.
Tomorrow, Saturday, January 16th, the Rams at the Packers are the afternoon game. And
Packers better win that by 100.
I'm going with the Packers for sure, actually.
I'm taking Packers with the spread, whatever their minus stat.
What
I'm
is it?
taking
Hold on,
that.
let me pull it up. But Packers.
Because Jalen Ramsey can't guard Jamal Adams and Devontae Adams. I said that right. They both have the same last name. It throws me off.
I think, I think it'll be a closer game than. I'm just impressed with what they did against the Seahawks, honestly, and the Packers don't have an elite defense by any means, so I think it could be a decent game. But I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he's going to win the MVP this year. I think he's on a revenge tour, and I think he responded the way Carson should have responded this year. They drafted a quarterback first round instead of giving him a weapon, and he's just like, screw it, I'll just be an MVP.
And had multiple opportunities to trade for a receiver during the season and said, nope, we're not doing that.
Don't want to help you. Yeah.
Do you
so,
imagine
Ravens-
if the Packers would have got Hopkins?
Oh, it would have been ridiculous.
It could have been over. It would have been the end of that.
Ravens at Bills, that night game. I'm going with the Bills here, and I don't think it's that close. I think Buffalo comes in here. They don't want to make it a close game like last week, and Josh Allen has a great day. Bills Mafia, show up.
I absolutely agree. I think Josh Allen's playing with so much confidence right now, and rightfully so. Him and Stephon Diggs are just fun to watch play.
So good. So good.
And then last week he brought it. That guy caught 2 touchdown passes I've never heard of.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
McKenzie, was that his last name?
Yeah.
McCabe
whatever.
I can't remember.
Yeah, because it screwed my FanDuel lineup. That's all I remember.
Mac. We'll call him Mac.
Justin, what do you think? Bills or Ravens?
Did they play this year? I don't think they did. Did they? No, I don't think they did.
I can't open a tab. I won't risk it.
Yeah,
Go
but
ahead.
Bills are. I think the Bills, but again, I think it's going to be one of those weird, sneaky games where it's close coming down to the end. The Bills defense didn't impress me. The Ravens defense were able to hold the Titans. That they did impress me. So I think it's going to be really close. I don't know. It's a 2.5 point spread. I'll go Ravens.
That's a game where you don't even touch the spread.
Yeah,
I'm
taking Bills money line for sure.
I'll go Bills, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't love it.
Sunday, January 17th, the Browns at the Chiefs. I'm going with the Chiefs here. Kansas City's going to be loud, and I don't think it's going to be close.
Loud. Was it 10-point spread there? Jesus.
I'm not touching any of these games. I'm done betting the NFL for the year.
I'm going Chiefs, but I think it's going to be a close game. I think that the Browns have a playoff formula that wins. They have 2 running backs that can pound it on the ground. The Chiefs defense isn't that great.
Kareem Hunt last week just smacking people in the mouth.
He was amazing, man. He was amazing.
When that one where they caught him at the 8-yard line and he went the whole way, and I was like,
yeah,
God.
Yeah.
And Chiefs revenge game. Kareem Hunt coming from the Chiefs kicks that woman. They're like, hey, we got to get rid of you. The Browns are like, we don't care if you kick women. Jump on our team. And that Kareem Hunt. So yeah. No, I think Chiefs, but I think it's a close game because the Chiefs have had some weird duds this year.
I'm taking the Browns.
Yeah.
I think the Browns win because I think the Chiefs are having the same problem the Steelers were towards the end of the year. Although the Chiefs won their games, they played sloppy football.
Not impressive.
And with the Browns running game, they can keep the ball long enough to keep it away from Patrick Mahomes. If they can
that's the key.
Because
they don't have a pass rush. But I totally agree there. If they can keep the ball out of his hands.
I would not be shocked if you see the Browns up by 3 or 7 points. If you watch their series, they will not be hiking the ball until there's 3 seconds left on the play clock every single time.
Yeah. And I think if you look back, like what MJ is saying, it's been the past. I'm going all the way back. Oh my God. So since they played, I don't even know what week this is. They beat the Jets 35-9. Since then, they beat the Panthers by 2. That's not
And they
good
were down
for,
that whole game. They were
Yep.
down that whole game.
not good for a Super Bowl contending team. They beat the Raiders by 4, 35-31. They beat the Buccaneers. I mean, that's their good team. They beat the Broncos by 6. They beat the Dolphins by 6. They beat the Saints by 3. They beat the Falcons by 3, 17-14. They can only put up 17 against like one of the worst
No,
defenses.
the worst pass defense in the NFL.
Yep. Put up 17 points, lost 38-21 to the Chargers last game of the season.
It's not a good recipe, man. I think they're
and then
falling
take
in
a
the
bye.
same trap. I think the Browns pick the perfect first 2 opponents.
Only thing though is that you have to think about Andy Reid. It's a playoff instead of regular season, but Andy Reid after a bye is like nearly elite. Like he's almost undefeated.
Oh, dude, I can't wait to see the womb broom just out there spitting plays into a shield.
Womb broom.
Buccaneers at the Saints. I'm gonna go with. Oh,
Yeah, right.
Yep. Everything about what's happened so far this season in the 2 other games they played says Saints.
I gotta go New Orleans. I have to, and I mean it's Tom Brady in the playoffs, and he's got great receivers, but New Orleans is a more complete team, and that's all I can hinge this on right now.
Yep, they got a couple, or in November they got shellacked 38-3 by the Saints, and then beginning of the season lost 34-23 to the Saints. Tom Brady's so hot right now, though.
And AB's putting it together. Man.
I know.
Who are you
Like,
gonna
what
guard?
do I do?
Who are you gonna guard?
And then on the opposite side, the Saints have Alvin Kamara, who's killing it.
Oh, then you see Michael Thomas showed up last week?
Yeah, he decided to come back.
I forgot he was there.
Turns out in the playoffs, Drew Brees isn't a racist anymore. Anyway.
What? Kevin, you're just gonna blow by that?
I didn't hear what he said. Sorry, I got a message. What did you say?
What?
What did he say?
I don't know if I can repeat it.
No, don't repeat it.
No, you know what? I'll say it again.
Damn it, Justin.
I said it turns. I said it turns out in the playoffs, Drew Brees isn't a racist anymore, so Michael Thomas comes back. But because Drew Brees is all like, hey, I personally wouldn't kneel for the national anthem, and Michael Thomas is like, I'm gonna be hurt all year. But
Kevin, pick your head up.
And then
What the
playoffs,
heck?
and then the playoffs come around, and Michael Thomas is like,
Enough talking from you. You have said enough.
no, but
God.
Kevin, I'm taking Kevin. So we can move on. I'm taking Tampa Bay. I
Me
think
too.
Thank you.
Emergence wins them the game. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Next topic.
Thanks, buddy.
Tampa
It's been
Bay.
an hour in. What is the next topic? I don't even remember.
yeah, can you even see?
Oh, the
Justin-
national championship game. The
Oh,
national
Yeah,
championship
dude. First of all, there's not much to talk about
There's
here.
not a ton
I'm
to
just gonna
talk
say
about.
this: Alabama is what's wrong with college football. They're too good.
Yes, couldn't agree. It is the most unwatchable product
They're
in
too
sports.
good. I turned it off. I could not watch it.
It's the most unwatchable product in sports.
The only thing that makes college football fun is betting.
Yes, that's it.
Honestly, I would
And
never
like
watch
being in a
most
community-
college football,
Right.
Unless
And
it was,
being in a
I bet it.
community like where college football's huge, that's really fun. But like other than that,
Yeah, like I mean, this year with them taking tailgating away from Penn State, I couldn't get into it.
yeah.
I wasn't drinking at 9 o'clock in the morning while eating a cheeseburger for breakfast.
No.
I
couldn't
did, but
get
it was
into
at my buddy's house across the street from the stadium.
Yeah, it's not the same, man.
It's not the same.
You need to stand. You need to like wait to take a leak until you're about to die, and then stand.
And you're
in line for
freezing
20
cold.
minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need it. I'm sorry, you
Yeah.
need it.
And the thing is,
Yeah.
I think that what we were talking about before the national championship with like the Notre Dame thing, like it's getting to a point now where Alabama and Clemson are so many spots above the rest of these teams. The only time sometimes Ohio State sneaks in there, like this year,
Or an
couple
LSU will
years ago.
sneak in.
and LSU randomly, but for the most part, it's Alabama, it's Clemson, it's Ohio State, and no one else has a chance. And it's just like it's boring. It's what people think the NBA is, but the NBA has more than 2 good teams. Like it's actually almost worse. There's almost less parity in this than the NBA.
Yeah, it's well, I'm still waiting for the scandal to come out about how they pay their players. It has to happen.
They have to be paying them.
Because you can't tell me Tuscaloosa, Alabama is a
Tuscaloosa is not a destination.
How USC isn't getting every single top recruit like is
or dude, any Florida school, honestly.
And the thing is,
come to Florida. The weather's nice and there's a beach within 20 minutes of wherever you are.
Except University of Florida. University of Florida should be getting no one because it's in the middle of the states in Tallahassee. It should be Miami.
No, Tallahassee's Florida State.
Oh, Gainesville.
Florida's down.
Which is
Florida's
worse.
down. That's down in Gainesville. Yeah. That's a
It's worse.
swamp, literally.
I could see LSU getting a ton of people like, hey, New Orleans is here. Go have fun. I could see that. But Tuscaloosa,
nope.
It's
Clemson. I get South Carolina's a good.
It's state
area.
college with worse weather. It honestly is state college, or no, better weather with better weather.
With better weather, worse teeth. And I can talk on that. No, I'm with you. It's I think Barstool put out like one of those like 1-minute videos about how it's like it's rough.
It's so hard to watch.
And the thing is, I'll get hyped next season about it too. And then Notre Dame will go 9-0 and I'll be like, but
here's the thing, man.
It's boring.
Ohio State. I mean, I think it'll be Clemson, Ohio State, and Notre Dame's going back out of the ACC again, right?
I don't know what they're doing.
They should.
Well,
just at least
as long as another SEC school or Big 12 school doesn't crush it, Notre Dame should get in again.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 teams could go undefeated. It's still not going to matter.
History repeats itself. Yeah, no,
they could blow out every team they play all year long. It's still not going to matter.
Meanwhile, everybody out here in Como is very excited about the Tigers being put 24th on ABC's way too early poll for the top 25.
Yeah,
we're gonna focus on that because we know we're not in the.
And the thing is, you'll lose your 3rd game and then you're out for the rest of the season.
That's right.
So
that's the other thing, man, with the playoff system. As soon as you lose 1 game, you're pretty much done.
Why, you're screwed.
It should be open to 8 because then you get a chance.
It's got to be bigger than 4 for sure.
You get a chance where what Ohio State did to Clemson this year, where we're like, does Clemson beat them by 17 or 24? Like we're looking at.
You get like a fluke game here and there, which you need.
You could get a Coastal Carolina, like a 4 versus 8
upset
matchup, Ohio State, Coastal Carolina, and they just randomly win.
Yeah.
Or dude, how about all the years when Boise State had Kellen Moore and they're like, that's not a team. Then they go and beat Oklahoma. Like,
you mean
Appalachian State beating Michigan.
Eagles head coach Kellen Moore. But
shut your mouth. Shut your damn
You
mouth.
did a good job with Dak Prescott.
All right, boys, let's move on from college football if we may.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that we needed to? I mean, James Harden got traded. I think it was a terrible trade overall.
That's actually my last things last. I'm going to destroy the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'll let you take that then. But
no, that's it. That's it. Because we did our picks already. Yeah.
And I will just say this, but right before we get into that, I will just say this. So glad hockey is back. It's been a lot of fun these last couple of days watching nonstop hockey. It's 115 days of a hockey game on every single day. It's great. So
Flyers
Detroit, you got beat last night, but Thomas Greiss, you looked great. I'm gonna still have my false hope. MJ, you gotta hop on and get hurt with me, brother. Let's go, Red Wings.
Dude, your golie looked really good.
He was amazing.
I physically can't open my heart to any more hurt this year. I can't.
But see, if you know the hurt's coming, it's totally fine. Like the Steelers, I kind of knew it was coming, but not fully. The Red Wings, I know it's coming, so I'm just embrace it. Go Wings. All right, go ahead with
the Red Wings goalie. It was like
it was crazy.
Elf, where Buddy just starts firing off snowballs at people, and that's what the goalie. He was just like,
yeah.
All right. Last things last. The Brooklyn Nets are morons.
Yes.
They gave away their future, and they're still not the favorite to win the title this year.
They gave away their future and their next future.
They gave away, yeah.
You literally they killed all their depth.
Everything they
still
had.
have Joe Harris and I think they have 2 or 3 other people, but
in Dinwiddie for next year, they'll be better next year.
Every other team got better except the Nets.
for a fat
I
James
think
Harden.
I think the Cavaliers and a missing Kyrie Irving.
Yeah,
I
and
think
you
he's
never
gonna
know if
come
he's going to
back tomorrow.
retire each game. He might retire. Like,
Listen, I don't care if he comes back. I don't think he didn't want to be the Robin to LeBron's Batman, and now he's Alfred. Like what? He's not even the second best player on that team. A fat James Harden is still better than Kyrie Irving is.
I think it says a lot about a couple things. Durant's legacy, leaving Oklahoma City to go join the best team of all time, and then going to Brooklyn to join Kyrie, and then bringing on the third best player in the NBA right now. Like,
If LeBron James, if somehow
Did
Brooklyn,
this.
first off, I don't think Brooklyn's making out of the first round. But if they make it to the finals and LeBron James beats that team, there should be no debate anymore. He has beaten multiple super teams in the finals now, multiple super teams.
But
So
even the other thing with it too, though, is there's one ball. These guys are three
what are they
ball
gonna
dominant
plan on doing?
players.
What are each of those guys going to get 20 shots a game? Is that how that's going to work? No.
And then they trade Karis LeVert. Like, LeVert was a good role player. He could give you 20 off the bench. Like, what are you?
Dude, I'm telling you, Indiana got better. The Rockets got better. The Cavs got better. Every team in that trade got better except Brooklyn. Brooklyn's going to sell more. Brooklyn will sell more jerseys now. I get it, but they didn't get
What are
better.
they going to do on defense?
There's going to be no, and you
'Cause
got
they
two
got rid of
coaches
Jared
that
Allen.
don't coach defense. They have two coaches that don't coach defense. What the heck are
Steve
they
Nash.
doing?
They're going to
be
be
a mess.
They're going to be the mid to 2007 to 2012 Phoenix Suns with Nash. They're going to be that run it up. I think they're going to be a very good regular season team. I think they might actually even get like the 1 seed. And then I think you get bounced to the second round of the playoffs every year because that style of basketball doesn't win in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now you're going to have to wait how many games for Harden to get back in game shape?
Now that he's done throwing his fit and just eating his way out of Houston.
Dude, that announcer the other night for Houston when he was like, and it looks like Harden had his pregame meal. I was like, he just said that on television.
Oh, and
no, dude, I'm sorry. That was you got to start.
Some of the defensive stuff with Harden too it's hard to watch. Like it's not just the highlights.
He averaged, like, he had his best year in
Thunder beat the Bulls by 2 points again. The Bulls can't close a game to save. I'm sorry.
There goes my other parlay. I bet the Bulls -2.
No, last thing's last, dude. Awful trade. Every other team got better. The Rockets did so well in that trade. You get multiple draft picks and Victor Oladipo.
Oladipo's so good.
And you let Wall, who already was having a decent season,
averaging 18 and 6.
Mm-hmm. And you let Wall actually control the ball now.
I'll be happy not to see Oladipo as much anymore. Playing Chicago.
Oladipo although there's some Oladipo talk now where he said he's only going to Miami after, because he's a free agent after this year. So he's basically saying, like, trade me to Miami or I'm leaving for Miami. So, like, get something for me or don't. He was telling Indiana that, and Indiana was like, yeah, cool, dude. We're just going to go ahead and grab Karis LeVert and a couple picks. So, like, you're going to Houston. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Houston got what they wanted. They got the pick. So
and the thing
they get
Oladipo
Oladipo for the year. If he plays well, great. If not, he's gone next year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, they got, and the thing is, we were talking about this in our group. The last time Brooklyn did this, they got old Kevin Garnett, old Paul Pierce, old, there was like Keith Bogans, I think, or something. And they traded 19 picks to the Celtics. Those picks turned into Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, like basically their core now. So like, I don't think we see in the next 2 years this trade work out for the Rockets. But I think in 4 years from now, all those picks start adding up. Like, you're going to have a team on your hands there.
I don't. How are they going to share the ball?
They're not.
I don't get it.
It's an anomaly for sure. Justin, what's your last things last?
Last things last is it's already been a year, almost a year, since the last time that we saw Conor McGregor in the UFC.
Woo!
And it's coming back. Poirier, Conor McGregor coming up the end of this month. I'm so freaking excited. Excited.
The UFC schedule this year is phenomenal with the fights.
And
so good.
I heard something where Dana White said basically whenever it gets to a point where they're starting to let like full fans in, because this fight with Conor and Poirier, I think they're letting in 3,000 people in Abu Dhabi for the first time in a while. So like it's going to have some fans, but he said the first time
Keep
they're
talking, boys. I lost sound.
great. He's when they have a full stadium, Dana said that they'll do like 3 title fights on that card when they're allowed full stadiums again.
Wait, I thought the fight this weekend? Yeah.
I don't know what weekend it is. I know it's like towards the end of this month here. It's either this weekend or next weekend.
Because there was a video today of Dana White meeting with Khabib.
That's the other thing. Let me see. Yeah, it's the 23rd.
There we
so
go.
Next weekend.
Yeah, because they're already in Abu Dhabi because they had to do the 2 weeks.
We had to do the quarantine.
Yeah.
And it's a weird Conor too. I just love watching his interviews, and he's a lot like he was before the Cerrone fight.
If he's like he was before the Cerrone fight, I think he's gonna blow Poirier up.
Much more respectful. Said
his head's into it, dude.
And he was actually laughing about it, and they were saying like they were showing all the videos from the first Poirier fight, and he's like getting in his head and like slapping him in the face at the weigh-in and stuff. And he was just like, we're both more mature now. I'm actually like donating to his charity, and like he's a good guy and he's a great fighter, and I'm excited. And he's like, and I'll also knock him out in 60 seconds. Like there's no way he's lasting 60 seconds.
Yeah, the UFC. I mean, that one card is a 259 that has Edwards versus I can't say his last name. Is it Chimaev?
Chimaev?
Chimaev.
Yeah.
That card also has Peter versus who's he fighting? There's 3 title fights on that one card. And
let me see. Oh, is 259? It has Izzy versus Jan Blachowicz, Amanda Nunes, Megan Anderson, Peter Yan, Aljamain Sterling. Oh my God, Thiago Santos.
Yeah, that card's insane.
Oh my God, that's a huge card.
That card's insane.
Where's that at? Oh, it's to be decided.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Conor back. I think he's so good for UFC and just for getting fans into the sport. And
we bought that fight.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see what he does.
Kevin, we bought that.
Remember
fight,
how janky that was?
And then it ended in 14 seconds, and we were like,
"Oh, dude, my buddy and I came home from the bar.
Dude, you and I watched the entire main card.
That fight took us like 20 minutes to order. We literally got the fight as it was starting, and then he knocks him out. I'm like, I just spent $60 to watch 14 seconds.
And the thing is, I wasn't even mad at it because of how freaking awesome it was. Like the shoulders, I'm like, oh my God, what is he doing? What is he doing? And then he blocks the head kick.
And wasn't that card? Wasn't there? There were some great fights on that card too that were just like really good to watch. So, my last thing's last. I have 2 of them. Real quick, the first one I just added tonight because it just happened tonight. Corey Kluber is going to the New York Yankees. They are now adding a second ace to that staff. So now Garrett Cole and Corey Kluber in the Bronx. Look out. The Yankees also close to, if not completely. No, they did. They finalized a deal with DJ LeMahieu for a steal, $90 million over like 6 or 7 years. Which is absolutely under his value. So good job to Cashman getting him in at that price. Yankees making moves. They're stacking things up. Philadelphia Phillies, though, did get Archie Bradley. They still need to make some more moves, though, because the Mets got Brad Hand as well as Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco. So a lot of moves happening in the MLB right now. But my main last things last is, if it is the last time we saw Big Ben this past weekend, it's been an incredible career. It's been so much fun to watch him since 2004 all the way through his career. I mean, this guy has been absolutely rock solid of a guy that's going to get tons of abuse in the backfield. He's going to get hit nonstop, take the punishment, throw the ball, get it downfield. He's always not afraid to throw it down, be a good gunslinger. And had a lot of respect from his teammates, 2-time Super Bowl champ, multiple Pro Bowls, definitely first ballot Hall of Famer. It was really hard to see him and Pouncey sitting on that bench after that game, and just how emotional that was to kind of like Zach Ertz, watching him just kind of sitting in an empty Lincoln Financial crying. It was tough to see. But Big Ben, if that's it, man, thank you. It's been an amazing run. And I mean, Like when you think about the fact of had Tommy Maddox not gotten hurt, we wouldn't have been able to see as much of a great career from this guy. So pretty lucky how everything worked out.
Also, maybe if
you both say something nice about Big Ben.
If he would have worked a little bit in the off season and did some more yoga, I think he'd have been a lot better. But that's here nor there. Every other quarterback his age looks like they're in fantastic shape, except him.
Tom Brady's thrown 43 touchdowns at 43, just like, oh.
Do you disagree though? First ballot Hall of Famer.
Oh yeah, I don't see why he isn't.
Yeah,
I also think it depends. It depends on who's in that year with him, though.
True.
Because Kev, there's a possibility. I mean, Tom Brady's not retiring, but there's a possibility that all the other quarterbacks his age will retire this year. That'll be a ridiculous Hall of Fame class.
Yeah, that'll be a fun one. All right, boys, great cast. This was a long one, so thanks for sticking with us. Anyone who's listening or will listen. Enjoy the rest of hockey this week, and of course, the playoff football coming up tomorrow and Sunday. So. All right, boys, we will all see you next time.